So, Metal Eden came out on the 3rd of September, and I want to talk about it. I've finished the campaign on my Steam Deck, and I have a few thoughts about it. One big one off the bat is it is Unreal Engine 5, so that will raise red flags with most people immediately, which is pretty fair, but I will talk about that after this initial blurb. I do want to say I received a key from Deep Silver, and the game itself is very fun, but comes in at a reasonably short runtime. I completed my playthrough in just under 7 hours, and that was me fiddling in the menus with graphical settings. There is one major flaw with this game that doesn't make it unplayable, but it is definitely not perfect on the deck. So without further ado, let's jump into this review.
This is Mission Control. Entering Vulcan airspace. Right on target. Drop zone clear.
So let's get into the technical stuff first, because that's most important for you Steam Deck users like me. Steam has this as an unsupported title. Again, that's not really true, because like I say, I played through the entirety of my campaign here. But there is one major flaw that this game has, which is stuttering. It has a massive stutter problem. I'm not sure what it's related to. I don't think it's shader compilation. It's something else. Even having the texture setting at low, there is constant stutters, and you'll see it through this footage. You'll just see it just stutter for no apparent reason. I don't know why it does it, but it loves to just stutter on you. Hopefully that's something that the developers Reclon Games can fix. Hopefully I'm not butchering how they say it, but it will be distracting, but the game is playable. And I will show you my settings momentarily. I played it at a 30 FPS lock because it just made it easier not to notice when the drops happen, because there will be regular drops, but it is playable. For some weird reason, the main menu is half frame rate. So when you first load up the game, you're very confused as to why the frame rate is so low in the main menu, but once you're in game, it does jump up. As you can see here, shading and shadow quality are on medium. Now, if you want instant FPS back, you would turn those right to low. The problem I have is having those two settings on low makes the game look absolutely disgusting, and I would not recommend having those settings on low, because basically the whole game, there's no shadows, and you have a lot of time in indoor spaces that aren't shadowed. It looks really bad. So you kind of need those on medium to have a reasonable looking experience. But if you want those frames back, you could definitely drop it down. But I think you're having a far too compromised experience dropping those two settings down to low. So another option is to drop the resolution down to 720p, which I also did to pull back some frames. Another option is to use lossless scaling, which I also tried out, but I do not have footage here of. And lossless scaling helps, but when you do get those drops, like the stuttering, it feels much more pronounced, which, as you can see here, it's just stuttering for no apparent reason. There's nothing on screen. It just decides to stutter. So it is very distracting, but for a 7-hour campaign, you kind of can put up with it. I don't mind like the frame rate dropping. That's part and parcel of playing on a Steam Deck, but the stutters can really put a dampener on that experience. By dropping everything to low and going to 720p, you can get a 40 FPS line, sort of, but it's just unstable. So I personally went for the 30 FPS cap with motion blur, and it just makes the game look reasonably smooth, but of course you get that stuttering, which you just can't get rid of. So the technical side of it is, yes, it's technically unsupported on Steam Deck, but it is playable from beginning to end if you can put up with the stutters like I did. This was the only way I wanted to play it. I didn't want to set up my gaming PC. I just wanted to play it directly on the Steam Deck itself. So if you have no other choice like I did, then it is definitely playable from beginning to end that way. So without further ado, that's the technical side of it over. Go in very cautious. I wouldn't pay full price for this to play it on Steam Deck, as you're getting the most compromised version of this game. One more thing I'd like to add is I used XESS, the Intel upscaler. I find that just had the best result. There's FSR, there's TSR, but yeah, XESS is just the best one. I used ultra quality upscaling, but you could just go quality to even pull back more frames. So there is ways to get frames back in this game, but you really start to get a compromised experience once you start turning off too many of those Unreal 5 engine options, specifically shadows. It really hurts the style of this game for sure. So the game itself, what is it? It's a FPS, as you can see, and it's arena-based, story-based FPS, a sci-fi shooter with a crazy story. You know, think of it like Devil May Cry, the shooter. So you do a bit of wall running, you do a bit of platforming, you go into an area that becomes locked off and it becomes an arena, and then you fight multiple waves of enemies, rinse and repeat. That is basically the game. And then you have these rail sections here where you have to shoot things as you make your way along. But they're very straightforward. As you can see here, I've walked into a room and the arena starts and you start fighting bad guys. And there'll be 3 or 4 waves or 2 or 3 waves. And you can see here you get a handful of different weapon choices to deal with these enemies. But they do want you moving around the map at all times, collecting pickups as they're on timers. So you know, like health and shield regen tokens will be like every 30 seconds. So you're doing like a circuit of the arena as you fight the enemies. And you can buy upgrades for your weapons and for your armor to give you more abilities. As you take out enemies, you get credits and XP basically. And you come across upgrade stations and buy stations to continue upgrading your character. And unlock alternate fire for your weapons. Most weapons have 2 different skill trees you can unlock on them, and you have on your character you can unlock quite a few, at least 20 types of upgrades are available for like how you recharge your shields and your attack damage and all that kind of thing. So there is reasons to play through it more than once to get all these upgrades, because I didn't fill out my weapons or my character's armor upgrades, so there is that to do. But I do want to say, you know, what you're seeing is the whole game, and there's 3 or 4 boss battles as well. But yeah, this is basically it. It doesn't really change from this. The arenas look different, but generally you go around, you fight 3 to 4 different waves, you move on, you'll fight some smaller enemies throughout the level, then you'll go to the next arena, fight some enemies, do some platforming, and rinse and repeat basically. The formula doesn't change up except for 2 ground sections where you tune into Samus and you become a morph ball, and you drive around as a ball taking out enemies, which is fine. It does break up the gameplay a wee bit. But it doesn't really change anything. As you can see here, there's our weapon upgrades that you can do. And you do get light shotguns, grenade launchers, SMGs, you get a lightning gun, and you get a plasma gun which takes out shields. And the other main mechanic that they have in this game are cores, which is once you strip the shield of an enemy, you can pull their core out by pulling the left trigger. And then there's 2 things you can do with that core. You can then throw it at an enemy, do damage, or you can absorb the core and then punch an enemy to instantly take out their shields. So you've got a few choices on how that works, and you can find, as you can see here, I've got an overdrive, which sometimes show up during a arena fight, which just gives you unlimited ammo, and you can just go to town taking out the bad guys. The game does do its shooting really well, as well as its upgrade system. I had no problems with any of it. There is one problem I have with this. I got this given to me as a key from Deep Silver, which I did say at the start of the video. So I didn't realize the price of this title. I just had a look on New Zealand's Steam page. So this is New Zealand pricing. This isn't US, so you know, you need to look for your own country. But in New Zealand, it's $60. And that's at 10% discount. So full price, once the introductory offer ends, it's $66.95. So it's almost 70 New Zealand dollars for this title. which I think is really high, especially for a 7-hour experience with limited replay value here. So this is something I would wait for a special personally. I don't think it's worth full price. A lot of production value did go into this game, I will admit. As you saw earlier on, they have fully CG cutscenes between missions, which are super high quality and they look amazing. But they are asking a lot. And for the same price, you could buy Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. I mean, I haven't played KDR 2, but for that value, you're getting a lot more game. So I would be very... I would only buy this if you're really hanging out for an arena-based shooter to fill in some time. But I definitely don't think it's worth that price, especially in New Zealand. I don't know what it is in the US, so definitely check your Steam in your region for pricing and if that seems reasonable for 7 to 8 hours worth of gameplay. It's just very high. But the gameplay itself is a lot of fun, but I don't know if it's worth that price tag, personally. And then we might as well talk about the story while we're here. The story is really nonsensical, and I'm a big sci-fi nerd, but I like things to be pretty coherent. It's hard because this game takes itself very seriously, and I wanted to take it seriously too, but I just couldn't grasp what they were trying to get at. Maybe I'm just really dumb. So the basic overview, I get the basics, but I don't understand the minutiae of the story. I think there's something here because the voice actors do an amazing job. The voice acting in this game carries it. I will say now, if you're not into listening to people talk to you while you're gaming, this might not be for you, because the NPC, the characters that talk to you are constant throughout the entirety of each mission. They normally jabbering away the whole time. So that's worth keeping in mind, that they will jabber to you all the time. I love a good bit of dialogue, so I don't mind, but it's worth keeping in mind that they do talk to you a lot throughout the campaign. But the overview is Earth overpopulated. Humans have ascended into... they no longer have bodies and are uploaded into cores, which are like chips. So they go to the other side of the galaxy. There's a planet called Vulcan, which had all these minerals. So all these I don't know, conglomerates went there to mine it. But then there's a city above it where everyone is from. But then there's these 4 engineers, which were the builders of it. And then they had an argument or something. I don't know. It's all kind of very bizarre. And they and it's all just a bit weird, to be honest. The gameplay is really fun, and as you can see here, this is one of the boss fights. But I honestly just the story just gets a little bit too fantasy for me, and I just don't understand what's actually happening. So worth keeping in mind that the story, while the cutscenes look amazing, I have no idea what's actually going on, and you're a hyper unit, and you're I don't want to give away the story, because if you are going to play it, you might learn something interesting about it. But personally, the story was a little hard to follow and a little bit too out the gate. I like out the gate stuff, but I couldn't follow this at all. And because the characters talk to you so much, the minutiae is lost on me, and I'm I don't understand what's going on. I'm just going to shoot these robots because it's fun. So yeah, overall impressions, I'm not going to score this. It's hard to score a game because now the price has come into it for me. It makes it a lot harder for me to recommend at that price point. It's too much. I realise they put a lot of value and effort into this title, which I don't want to take away from the developers, because they have done great work here. But 70 NZ dollars is a lot to ask for a 6-hour to 7-hour campaign with minimal replay value. So buyer beware, I guess, on this one, especially if you're going to play on Steam Deck. If you're playing on console or on a PC, you'll be fine. But Steam Deck, you just be aware of the stuttering issue. and that your frame rates are going to be in the 30s to 40s. I didn't have any major crashes. I did have a few reloads where I got stuck on geometry, but apart from that, it was pretty good. So without further ado, thank you for watching this, and I will see you in the next one. Ciao.